didn't grow up with the sense that where we were was where we were going to be. You know, we grew up with the sense that where we were almost didn't matter because we were becoming right. Something greater.
The Street Machine Nationals is in 4 days, and she's still torn apart. Getting a new steering box. Broke that steering sector thing there. Changing up the steering a little bit again. Finally have my seat belt bar welded in here, and you can see that there's seat belt mounts, harness tabs welded in there, and then there's also these tabs here which are going to bolt to the back of the seat. Here's some little cross members that go where the seats bolt up. Here's one of my outriggers for the seat belt. Here's for the front seat belt, front part of the seat belt, and this is for the other side of the seat belt, obviously. The welds aren't the greatest, but they'll work for what I got. That bar is hammered in there, so it's pretty strong in the first place. Let's see what else we got going on here. My pinion is leaking for some reason, so I have to address that. I'm just gonna pull it apart and see if maybe there's some dirt or something in the seal. I got the new tranny line ran, the braided line. Got the new tensioner on. I adjusted these limiter straps. You can see right now that the front end is actually hanging on these because the frame is jacked up. So you can see these work out pretty slick. They're tight right here, which is right at the bottom of the suspension with the bag stretched. So if I do happen to lift the tires, the front end can only go down that far, so you won't rip the bag set up. Got my Nitrous Express solenoid set up here with my purge. I still got to run the purge. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to run it. I'll probably just run it straight up through here or something. I don't really know yet. Still have a lot of wiring to do. You can see that goodie bag over there. Still full of all the wiring. You can see some of the wiring down there yet. I've just been doing little piddly stuff here and there. And right here are my Jazz racing seats. Cutting up a brand new race seat. Oh boy. Gotta make it fit. The passenger side is a little bit smaller because of the tranny tunnel. You can see it goes back at an angle that way, so this side is actually about 2 inches smaller. So I actually have to narrow one of these seats, and it is gonna be fun. I feel terrible cutting apart a brand new seat, a brand new fancy seat. It doesn't even have the freaking scratch protection stuff off of it yet, and I'm already cutting into it. But that's what custom is, so to hell with it. You can see I drilled holes in the bottom there for mounting, and then because this is only set up, this is the only spot I could drill holes, I actually made this piece which mounts to the roll cage like I just showed you. I gotta clean up all this marker stuff and bolt these on, but right now they're just Clecos in. So you can see all it is just some like 11 gauge tabs welded on there, and then the thicker 1/8 inch tab or whatever slides between there and they bolt together. So that'll keep the seat from moving this way, and these will keep the seat from moving this way, obviously. I originally had these seats over here. You remember I made these, but you can see, I don't know where it is, on one of these, yeah, rivets already popping out, and it hasn't been driven on. I was sitting on these in the shop for quite a while, so they could work, but I just wanted to go with some different seats. This one here, I actually had to modify. If you look down, you can see that I actually had to modify it to fit so my door will close, because the passenger side is slightly narrower, actually 2 inches narrower. I did add another crossmember down here. I don't know if you can see it, that gray crossmember that goes all the way across. There you go, you can see it now. Because I realized when I was looking under this that the tranny crossmember is the only crossmember between the engine and the rear end. So the fact that there was only this small tranny crossmember there kind of made me a little nervous, so I just added this extra, I think it's 2 inch by 2 inch, and it's 3/16 sidewall, square tubing. Just keep stuff true, so just little stuff. I got, I guess, 3-4 days, whatever. It's probably not gonna be ready for autocross and the dyno like I'd hoped. I'm not really comfortable running this thing on the dyno, especially because I haven't really tuned it or done anything yet. So really throwing this thing up on the dyno and hoping it stays together is kind of risky. So it's Tuesday. Holy crap, it's almost 5 a.m. Didn't realize it was that late already. So I guess it's Wednesday morning, technically, and I'm working on some blinkers, side markers. Now what I started with was some old teardrop style lights. These are 6 volt, and these are just like a molded plastic. And if you notice here that these are flat, and where I'm going to mount them on the side of this headlight bucket is not flat. So I drilled my holes for these pins to go through, put them like that, and you can see that it teeter-totters and it doesn't fit right. Okay? So common sense would tell you got to take the material off of the middle so that this thing can sink in. Now what I did here was I took one of those. See how nice that fits now compared to before? It's not perfect yet, but it's close. And you can see, if you look really close, that this little piece right here, where my middle finger is, actually protrudes past the edge there. So I actually had to pound in a little bit on this headlight so that this thing would sit flush. Okay, so that will mount on there like that. So I'll just give you a little comparison here. You can see that arc there. So now I'm going to take this one over to the belt sander and do the same thing. Now, what's nice about belt sanders with different pulley sizes is you can have different radiuses. Now this is obviously a little bit too small a radius compared to the headlight, but it works. A lot of the times this right here is like the same as a roll cage, so that works for nice for doing whatever. Use this other bearing, whatever pulley, and it gives you your exact shape. And these are actually 6 volt lights, which I'll be converting to 12 volt. So as some of you might remember, I had this lawnmower spindle on here originally, which is just a cast aluminum piece, and the first time I had it out I actually snapped it, the flange. So I had my buddy Jimmy, who also helped me with this intake. I had him cut and make a new one of these. Basically it's 2 1/4-inch pieces of steel together. It's easier to cut 1/4-inch than it is to cut 1/2 inch and then weld it together. And then there's just a piece of 4140 steel stock that he actually machined out. And you probably can't tell, but there's actually a like a chamfer for these, not a chamfer, whatever the hell it's called, a recess for these bearings to actually press in. So the bearings are press fit, and they can only go in so far because the recess is only the height of the bearing. MIG welded on one side, TIG on the other side. Just because TIG looks a little better, but he was worried that it wasn't going to be strong enough, so he added some MIG on the back. Probably not necessary, but it's there. Now you can see that this one has 8 threaded 3/16 holes, and right now I have 4 holes in this plate. So I have this center punch. I put this on there and then center punch these holes, and now I can drill out the 4 of these rest holes, the rest of the 4 of these holes, and start putting this back together. Same size drill bit, and it's actually getting a little bit dull. If you're ever cutting through thicker steel, you know it's kind of a pain in the butt, because if the blade's not super sharp, it'll actually harden the steel as you're going if it spins too fast and doesn't cut. So I actually invested in one of these drill doctors. This is the 750X version, I believe. Yep, 750X drill doctor. I've had this for a few months, so I haven't really had shown you guys how it works yet. So I'll give you a basic intro here. Now right here, I'm actually holding my camera with my chin. You can see I just chuck this drill bit up in there, and then I press this button here, push the drill bit in all the way, so you can see it's pressed up against that metal piece in there. Close this and it automatically grips onto this drill bit and puts it in the direction you need. Now I'm just going to tighten this up. Now it's fairly snug. Pull it out, tighten it by hand, and then I can actually run this. Now you can see that drill bit is nice and shiny and sharp. So now I can just drill those holes out, and it actually took me probably about the same amount of time with sharpening this drill bit as it would have just forcing those through, but it's a lot less muscle strength to just do it this way. Now the steering connecting rod, if you remember right, was still gonna use this. Basically this goes through, slides this bearing obviously right here, all the way down, and then it tightens up against it, so I'll still be using this. The only thing I really replaced was the tower, and we use the same design as that one. So it should all work as it did before, except stronger and better.
Be careful! Good. Front end was shaking bad.
Dude, this fucker scoops already though. I can't even imagine when you can like actually get your foot into it. Right? The turbo is just barely starting to spool up and fucking going.
Hey, look what's gone. Car's gone. Got a big old mess in here. But anyways, working on getting my dad's truck ready. Gotta clean it tonight and do some mechanical stuff. Yeah, it's 11:15, and I probably won't be sleeping very much tonight. So that's part of the struggle. Anyways, car's at the show. It's sitting there parked. Looks pretty fucking dope. I'm excited. So I'll drive my truck down there tomorrow, and I'll throw it up on the trailer and be a showstopper. Fuck yeah, Wild-Torquey, Tinman 2 Customs. Yeah.